Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is September 20, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 160 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, as I mentioned in every video on this channel, I'm going to mention here, I'm not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USAS, and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first question from Michelle Samuels 5584. Hi, does your B1B2 visa needed for H2B extension? Does your B1B2 visa needed for H1B extension? Okay, so let me make this clear. So you have H2B because you're doing the extension, and you're asking if you do need to get another visa in order to extend. If that's the case, if that's what you're wondering, no, absolutely not. You don't need B1B2 visa for the extension of H2B because that's that's two completely different visa categories. B1B2 is just a visitor, tourist, basically for pleasure, for business, and H2B is it's a work visa category, and so if you already have the H2B, then the requirement to extend the H2B are the same requirements that were initially in place for getting the H2B. So you're just basically showing that you still meet all of these requirements, and based on these requirements, you are asking for the extension. Now, if you do have already B1B2, and if you do want to change it to H2B, yes, but in that case, it's not going to be the extension. It's going to be the status change, in which you still are using the same form, which is the form I-539, extend or change of status. But then again, you do need to, if you are changing the status, then you do need to show USCIS that you do meet the requirements now for the H2B. So that they can do that. So that's really it. If I understood your question correctly, if I didn't, please let me know. You can let me know in a separate comment. And for everyone who's, if you have any follow-up questions, or if you're providing some kind of information that I requested, don't respond to my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not send me those notifications. Just post a separate comment on any of the videos and I will see it here. Okay, moving further to the next question from Ozigwe Rachel 1021 CR1, so conditional resident, priority date April 2022. How long will it take NVC to recheck my resubmitted documents? It's over 1 month now. I see. Okay, so here's the thing. On the huge plus side, you are in immediate relative category. So your immigrant visa is already available. Once you are documentarily qualified, it's immediately pretty much your case is sent to the US Embassy, and then they schedule your interview. So everything is, moving along pretty quickly. Still, you do, for administrative processing, you do have, probably roughly about 6 months to wait, but, it's, much faster compared to people that are in one of the 4 family preference categories that are waiting for the backlog. Now, to answer your question regarding the NVC, I personally had to deal with the same situation where I had to resubmit stuff and wait for the review. In my situation, it took almost 3 months it took for them to review the documents. And from the comments that I get on this channel, that's what it sounds like in most of the cases. About 3 months people wait for them to review resubmitted documents. Don't feel bad though, don't be upset. I know it's it's a little bit of a delay, especially for people in immediate relative category, because that you're now waiting for the backlog, and at this very moment really the only thing is delaying the case is just them reviewing the resubmitted stuff. But keep in mind that in most situations there is something and you have to resubmit it for another review. I would say it's very rare that someone becomes documentarily qualified on the first submission, and then you're documentarily qualified. If you are, whoever's watching this video, if you did get documentarily qualified on the first submission, congratulations. Consider that it's definitely a unique situation, let's just say that. But on the plus side, again, Osigve Rachel is, you know now what they need, and you also know what they have accepted. So that's definitely good news. So it's kind of, yes, it's a little bit of delay, but it's also reassurance, knowing that what they did accept, and you know it now, what they accepted is good, and it's good, you know. And now you know better exactly what they are requesting. So just make sure to provide that, and you already did. You're just waiting for them to review it. It's been 1 month, so possibly another 2 months, but it might be less. You know, it's not always the case that you are waiting for, you know, the whole 3 months. In my situations, it was almost 3 months, but you know. But once you do get it reviewed, please come back to this channel and let us know how it went, and if you are documentarily qualified. Hopefully you are with this submission. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested, you know, to hear the update on your case. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Rhea Linra Zalan 4990. So sad to hear that visa F4 category in Philippines is not moving. I wish it will work fast moving soon, because I'm waiting to my IL priority date. I'm not sure what IL is. Priority date September 2003, and documentarily qualified June 2022, and I'm hoping for good news about my visa. Thank you. So 2003, wow, 20 years already. So let me take a look at the visa bulletin and see the graph A, because you're already documentarily qualified. So right now it's showing August 2002, and yes, it's not moving, unfortunately, but your priority date is in September 2003. So you're roughly 1 year away. Roughly 1 year away from the, you've been waiting for so long, and you're almost there. You're almost there. I really hope it does move. You're really close. You're really close. It's just 1 more year. I really hope that visa bulletin keeps, you know, starts on moving. Because yeah, it's you know, for F2A has been pretty good news with the October 2023 Visa Bulletin edition, but not really anybody else. So a lot of people in a lot of different categories are waiting, and looks like roughly as of right now you have about 1 more year to wait for the availability of the immigrant visa. But we will see. It's important to stay on top of the Visa Bulletin for you, definitely. Make sure you do, and you know, keep checking, and hopefully we will see some movement. All right, let's move on to the next question comment from Fiandres5884. Hello, sir. We are documentarily qualified since June 06, 2022. Our priority date is December 2019. How come we don't have notice from NVC? Last August, we don't have any news from now. I don't know what happened already. The last letter we received last June. Okay, so it was like a few months ago. 1st, 2023. Thanks and God bless. Okay, so let's see. So you're documentarily qualified since June 06, 2022. So it's over a year now that you're documentarily qualified. And your priority date is December 2019. I don't have your family preference category. So if your priority date is 2019 and you're documentarily qualified 2022, yeah, so Fiandres, if you can, please let me know your family preference category. 3 things I need. 3 things in order to give rough estimates of how long, of when the interview is going to be, when the immigrant visa becomes available. Really, not when the interview is going to be, because at the end of the day, whenever it comes to the interviews, it really heavily depends on where the U.S. Embassy is. You know, it might be... You know, it might be sooner than later. It might be some wait. If the embassy is pretty busy in the country where you're at, you might be waiting some time. You know, I've seen people waiting with the immigrant visa already available, you know, as long as 6 months. I've seen people wait as long as almost 2 years, you know, so it really depends. So 3 things. Let me know the priority date once again so that I remember it, because you're going to be posting it in a separate comment. Let me know the family preference category, and then the chargeability area, and I'll try to give you as much of a rough estimate as possible. Okay, so let's move on to the next question from Queen Forever 9517. Hi, I'm US citizen. Starting process to my husband on December 28, 2020. He is documentarily qualified from NVC on December 8th, 2022, when I will expect interview. U.S. Embassy, Ethiopia. Really appreciate your help. Queen Forever, thank you so much for the question. Really appreciate it. So looks like he's already documentarily qualified as of December 2022. So it's been roughly about 9 to 10 months. So I am thinking that interview might have been already scheduled. The reason why you don't know when it was scheduled for is because these interviews, they are announced most of the times 30 days before the actual interview date. Sometimes in some situations I've seen the people getting the announcement that they have been scheduled interview 60 days before the interview. The reason why it's done is because they want to allow for some time for the medical examination. So with that being said, since you know your husband is in immediate relative category, the immigrant visa is already definitely available because he's been documentarily qualified. I mean in immediate relative category, once you are approved by USCIS, the immigrant visa is already available. But he's been already documentarily qualified like 9 months ago, which in personally in my situation it was 9 months that we've been waiting for the interview to get the interview announcement. I've seen people wait as far as like year and a half, 2 years, but it's really rare that they wait that long in immediate relative category. So what you can do as of right now is you can actually reach out to the U.S. Embassy and let them know, say that, hey, you know, either you or your husband, probably be easier for your husband because he's there, he's locally, you know, call the U.S. Embassy and say, hey, I'm in immediate relative category. I've been documentarily qualified almost a year ago. I wanted to see when my interview was scheduled for. Now, you can easily find their contact information on usembassy.gov. I'm actually going to place it in my response. Give them a call. Just be professional, be polite over the phone. You know, don't be upset if they don't give you that information because it's at their discretion, because it's an unofficial announcement of the interview date. But it's worth a shot, you know. So let's see, Ethiopia. There you go, Ethiopia. And here is there in Addis Ababa. There you go. No, they didn't put their phone number here. Embassy switchboard they put, but you can click on this, the actual embassy, and there you go. Here's the phone number. So this is what I'll put. I'll copy this link and I'll put it here. Again, don't be upset if they don't give you that information. You know, a lot of times they don't, but I've seen some people getting that answer, and you know, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. But regardless, even if they don't give you that information, I think it should be really anywhere around the corner. The interview should be anywhere around the corner now, because you know it's been a long time, so should be really close. Okay, let's move on to the next one from user XN2KS. Unfortunately, you know, YouTube does not show me names anymore. It shows handles. I don't know why. So user says, hello, thank you for sharing quality information. I'm glad this is helpful, appreciate it. A friend of mine has asylum and unknowingly renewed her passport, but has never left the country. Since she's still not a green card holder, will she have any problems or issues if she applies for a refugee travel document? Thank you in advance. Okay, great question. Thank you for asking. So because it was, you know, unknowingly, you know, it happens. A lot of times, foreign countries, you know, well, foreign countries, I'm saying foreign countries because, you know, the country where we're from, you know, a lot of times, like for example, you know, I know for a fact that the country where I'm from, they're not going to renew the passport. They will, you know, they will make you jump through the hoops, and if they find out that you're applying for asylum, they're not gonna renew it, and they might cause some problems along the way. So it's yeah. They don't like it. But in this situation, since they did renew it, and obviously they were not aware of the situation, which is good, so it's already renewed. Just be careful with it. I don't think it's going to create any problems, but this question most likely will come up during the naturalization interview. Probably not during the adjustment of status, but during the naturalization, it very well might come up. So just be prepared. Your friend should be prepared to address this, and you know it's fairly straightforward to address this question. Just like you told me, you know, she was not aware, you know, unknowingly, and you know she renewed the passport because, well, it was expiring, and she, you know, thought that was a good idea, and she did it. That's fine. It should not be a big deal. But as far as a refugee travel document, if she's planning to travel outside of the United States, hopefully not back to the country where she came from, but anywhere else, yes, absolutely, 100% refugee travel document is the correct way to go. Do not use the original passport for travel, because then it might definitely be an issue, because, now you can say, oh, she unknowingly applied for it. Okay, that's fine. But if she's traveling, she's using her passport from that country, now that is a little bit, that most likely might be an issue in the eyes of the immigration officer. That is, especially for naturalization, because that's the things that they look at whenever it comes to the and naturalization is when you're applying for citizenship here. They do look at things like this, and they do ask the questions, especially whenever it comes to the traveling, especially whenever it comes to the passports from original country, expired passports, renewed passports. That's the kind of stuff they do look in, and that's the kind of stuff they do ask about. So yes, absolutely 100% travel document is the correct way to go to travel, and just be prepared to answer some of the questions. Great question. I really appreciate it. I have not had anything like this kind of questions on this channel, and I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of people. Okay, moving further to Brianna, Paula, Brittany, Ramosi, 1857. Brianna, thank you very much for providing the requested information that I have requested to address your question. So Brianna says my visa class is F11, which is subcategory of F1. My case is currently at NVC. Foreign state of chargeability is Philippines. Interview location is Manila. Priority date is July 8, 2013. All required applicant documents have been received and approved. Okay, great. Documentarily qualified on October 30, 2021. My question is, when will be my interview? Brianna, again, thank you so much for providing all the requested information. Now I can definitely take a look at the, let me close this stuff, at the visa bulletin. There we go. Okay, so you're F1, you're already documentarily qualified. So we are looking at the graph A, final action dates, F1 for Philippines. So Philippines is currently on March 2012. So people with a priority date back in 1st of March 2012, as of right now, are getting their immigrant visas are becoming available, and so they're getting their interviews scheduled. So your priority date is in July 8, 2013, which is a little bit over a year. So from March 1st to July, it's like what? March, April, May, June. So roughly like a year and 3 months. So as of right now, you're looking at roughly a year and 3 months as of October, really, as of October 2023 visa bulletin. And hopefully we will see the continuous movement at least 1 month at a time. We haven't seen any movement for a while. Visa bulletin has not been stable for a while, so hopefully in the next few visa bulletin editions we will see that movement. But as of right now, roughly a year and 3 months before your priority date becomes current, before your immigrant visa becomes available. Once your immigrant visa is available, that's when the US Embassy starts scheduling the interview. And you got to keep in mind that a lot of times you do have some administrative processing, and I would assume that in Manila probably be a little bit longer wait, because I would think it's busier than most of the other US embassies around the world, just because of the amount of immigration traffic. But I would say easily 6 months to wait for the interview to actually be scheduled, possibly more. So as of right now, I would say probably, let's see, so end of September 2023, a year from now. So I would say probably in the beginning of 2025, if we see the continuous movement on the visa bulletin, if everything goes well and moves along, without any kind of delays, like we had in the past 2 years, we had quite a lot of these delays for the visa bulletin, unfortunately. But if everything goes well, I would, as of right now, I would say roughly around the beginning of 2025, that's what I would project for your interviews, and hopefully it's going to be obviously sooner than that. And once it is, please come back to this channel and let us know once it is scheduled, because I know people would appreciate, people appreciate comments and some answers to the questions. But it's also nice to hear people getting their cases finally resolved and moving to the next step. It's always nice to hear that. Okay, moving further to the next question from Walal Zaki 8198. IR2, so immediate relative category, priority date 17 June 2020, documentarily qualified July 2022, so over a year ago, consulate in Kenya. When should I expect an interview? Wow, honestly, anytime now. It's been quite a long time, so I would say anytime now your interview should already be scheduled. Again, that's the same thing as I was responding to Queen Forever. Your interview is already scheduled. You just don't know when it's scheduled for, because it's not 30 days before the interview yet, or 60 days in some situations. I don't know how they make this determination. It might be US Embassy, particular US Embassy, that schedules it earlier than others, but most of the times it's 30 days before the actual interview date that you get the announcement that your interview was scheduled. So again, what you can do is you can go ahead, use the US Embassy .gov, and we're gonna go to Kenya. There it is, already clicked on it before. And let's see, get the phone number, just call them up, say, hey, I'm in immediate relative category, documentarily qualified over a year ago, just wanted to see if you can give me the date when my interview was scheduled for. And again, because it's unofficial announcement of the interview, they might, it's not, it doesn't take much time to just log into their scheduling system, look it up, enter your information, and tell you the date. It's an official announcement. They technically can do that. A lot of times they don't. Don't be upset if they don't, but it's worth a shot, And there you go. So US Embassy Nairobi, and here's their phone number right here. So I'm gonna post the response. I already did, and I'm gonna paste this, not this. There you go. Copy this and post it right here. And if they do tell you, please do come back on this channel and, let us know if they did tell you. Because, again, resolutions is nice to hear. Okay, moving further to the user WX7HJ. Hi, can relatives, sister, US citizen verify translations of evidence for asylum? Excellent question. Yes, absolutely 100%. Especially considering that your sister is a US citizen, so she's definitely, proficient in English language. Obviously, she's proficient in her native language as well, so 100% she does qualify as someone who can certify a translation. And really all it is it's very straightforward. You have your document in the original language. If you want to translate the whole document, you can, but it's really the information that needs to be translated that matters. If you're translating parts of the information from the document, make sure to highlight exactly what is translated. And then at the very bottom on the translated page, it's really just like a few sentences saying that I, and then blank, obviously your sister will fill it out by hand. I blank certify that this translation from, for example, Spanish to English is a correct translation. If you do have any questions and you want to reach out and ask me about my, language, whatever skills or something like that, you can call me at this number, and then the number, and then here's my signature and the date. That's it. These translations, they are not even required to be notarized. You can if you want to, but you don't have to really. That's it. That's really all you need to provide in there. But yes, great question. Thank you very much for asking. I'm sure this is going to be helpful to a lot of people, because you do deal a lot with this, translations, and whenever it comes to the immigration process, and certified translations is one of those things. Like, I actually had people reach out to me like, oh, can you please do a certified translation? I'm like, you don't have to, you don't need somebody doing it to you as a service, or just find someone who speaks both languages. That's it. That's really, it's that simple. Okay, moving further to the next one from Josephine Brown 8586. How do I remove a person from my affidavit form that doesn't have all the documents that I needed? Josephine, thank you so much. That's a great question. So if you're referring to an affidavit of support, and I'm assuming you are, because on this channel we deal mostly with family immigration, and that's really the most, like the only affidavit that there is the affidavit of support. So if you are dealing with the affidavit of support that was already entered by somebody who is not maybe you thought that the person qualifies as a joint sponsor, or it has to be a joint sponsor because the petitioner themselves, whether they do qualify as a sponsor or not, they have to be the sponsor. And if they don't qualify as a sponsor, then you do add the joint sponsor. So I'm thinking most likely it is a joint sponsor that we're talking about. So if you entered a joint sponsor and now you're planning to remove that joint sponsor, you would have to reach out to the NVC. Just submit the public inquiry form and let them know exactly what needs to be done. They're pretty quick to respond to those public inquiry forms, and I actually show you how to find it. Might be helpful to everybody else. So this is Visa Bulletin. It is provided by travel.state.gov, which is an official government from the U.S. Department of State website, specifically for the Bureau of Consular Affairs. So NVC, they are, National Visa Center. They are kind of like heavily linked to this website. I guess I can say that. I'm not sure what the correct way to say it. But it is from this website that you can submit the public inquiry form. That's what I'm trying to say. You can find this page in the link in the description below. For the Visa Bulletin, click on it. You will see this page right here. From this page, click on Contact Us right here at the very top. I'm going to open it in a new tab. And Josephine, you don't have to do it. I will give you the link, but that's for everybody else if you're trying to navigate to the public inquiry form. From this page right here, you will see a whole bunch of different contacts, but we need US visas contacts right here. We're going to click on that and then scroll down a little bit. You will see this table in front of you. The very first row right here, you will see at the end of it, email, public inquiry form. So click on that. It's actually not the email, it's a different page. And then from here, you will see online immigrant visa inquiries only, public inquiry form link right here. So click on this link. And there you go. This is a public inquiry form. As you can see, it's not really an email. It's an online submission form, which I guess they do get as an email. That's why they called it. But here on this page, you will enter your NVC case number, principal applicant's full name. That's going to be beneficiary's full name. Principal applicant's date of birth is going to be beneficiary's date of birth. Petitioner's full name, obviously. Who you are. Are you a petitioner? Are you a beneficiary? Are you an attorney? Makes sense. Your email address. Use the same email address I would recommend that they have in the system where they send all the correspondence for the case so that it comes up quickly. And then in the inquiry below, just type in all the same details, again identifying yourself, who you are, whether you're a petitioner or beneficiary, your case number, your name, all of the identifying information so that they immediately can pull up your case so that they don't struggle to find it. Even though they still be able to find it by the case number here, but still I like to, so that, once they get it, they open it up, they don't have to search for the information, it's all there. And then let them know, say that, hey, explain the situation, what happened, and sounds like what happened, you added a joint sponsor, you thought that they qualify and they don't qualify, so now you want to remove them and possibly maybe add another joint sponsor. Just explain the situation just like that. If you want, you can, if you have any kind of documents or any kind of something that maybe you want to provide to corroborate what you're asking, you can attach them here, then do the capture and then submit. Again, like I said, NVC, they are pretty quick to respond to these inquiries. So I think they should be, addressed pretty quickly overall. And let me post a link for a public inquiry form right here. And we're gonna move on to probably our very last question for today, which is from Wonder USA. So Wonder says, thank you for this video. You're very welcome. Thanks for watching. I have a question. I'm a US citizen and my wife has her green card and work permit. And has been working almost 2 years now. So here's the thing. I'm sorry I didn't even read it till yet. The permanent residence card itself is already something that if you're a permanent resident in the United States of America, you are authorized to work in the United States of America. You don't need to have the employment authorization document as a separate work permit, as for a lot of other legal statuses basically in the US, if that makes sense. So let me read the whole thing so that maybe there's a different situation. Her work permit will be expiring in a few months, so we need to reapply for that, and on form I-765 it is asking for eligibility category. We are unsure of what category to use. I am a born US citizen and we have been married almost 3 years. My wife has a green card and a work permit. We are very confused about this section and what exactly we need to be doing so that it doesn't expire and she can no longer work legally in the US. Any help will be awesome. So thanks so much for your question. I think it's a great question. I never had a question like that asked before. So this issue never really came up, but absolutely 100%, if she does have a green card, if she's a permanent resident, being a permanent resident gives you the right to work in the United States of America. You do not need to maintain a separate employment authorization document, EAD, which is what the I-765 application is for. I'm assuming what happened was she might have been on some kind of status beforehand that she was eligible for, the employment authorization document, and she got it and she had it, and then while she had her legal status, maybe you guys got married and then you filed for her maybe the I-130, I don't know what her situation is, but she got her green card, possibly based on marriage, and she still had her I-765 and she renewed it. Maybe it was recently renewed or something like that. Well, recently being, I think it's only valid for 2 years. Maybe it was, renewed like 2 years ago. But yes, you definitely do not need to worry about that whatsoever. Just get rid of it. You can throw out that employment authorization document. And I can definitely relate personally because I was on the status here in the U.S. where I was eligible to work in the United States with the employment authorization document. I could not work without it. But once I got my permanent residence, that's it. Employment authorization document is obsolete because being a permanent resident, having the green card does give you the legal right to work in the United States of America. So great question. Thank you so much for asking. Hopefully, everybody found some use in this video today. I appreciate your comments and questions. It's a true blessing for me to, if my answers are helpful, it's definitely a blessing for me, so thank you very much for tuning in. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.